Hello, everyone. Welcome to this year's very first 10-minute two-tip Tuesday, first one of the year. Super excited as always. You may have noticed that we've changed our time slot. So normally 10-minute two-tip Tuesday is at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are changing for this year to 11 a.m. Central Standard Time to help make it a little bit easier for folks who might be on their lunch hour to pop in and check out these valuable tips. If this is your very first time watching either live or the recording of 10-minute two-tip Tuesday, then welcome. My name is Amelia Borland. I'm an occupational therapist and I am the founder of Higher Standards Caregiver Training. And what happens is every Tuesday, now at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, I'm going to share two tips. The first one is for caregivers, and the second is for caregiving organizations. And the goal is to make these really super valuable, truly educational tips that you folks can actually use. Now, before we get started, these tips are for educational purposes only. So if anything that I say reminds you of someone that you know, someone that you care for, maybe even yourself, it makes you think that person might need to be assessed and treated by a licensed healthcare provider, then please make sure that person is appropriately evaluated and treated by that licensed healthcare provider, as this is for educational purposes only. Okay, so we're going to dive right in. And now, again, if you're familiar with 10-minute two-tip Tuesday, if you've seen episodes of it before, then you know that these tips are generally extremely practical, database informational tips that we're providing. We've talked about everything from things caregivers should know about sensation problems in people that they're caring for, things to know about caring for stroke survivors, how to have someone's feet placed prior to a transfer, super practical stuff. For the first tip of the year today, I wanted to kind of shift gears just a little bit though, and this is a tip for caregivers, but rather than a tip about physical care, I thought we would focus on something that I think is really relevant as we get started in this new year and as we are coming off of the holiday season. And so I wanted to talk about burnout. Burnout is a topic that is really relevant for family caregivers and professional caregivers. No matter what kind of caregiver you are, burnout is something that is relevant to you and that you need to be proactive about. Certainly as a healthcare provider for many years and treating thousands of patients in clinics and hospitals, in rehabs, etc., burnout is something that I have had myself had to monitor and deal with just going out and caring for people on a day-to-day basis. And so I wanted to share a tip for caregivers from all walks of life today about something that has been really helpful to me to help keep me focused and help prevent burnout in my own life. And I think is really helpful for caregivers as well. And so that tip is to find gratitude. This can be really easy to say sometimes and really hard to do. But I'll kind of tell you how I've done it for myself and how I have kind of framed this for some of the, future occupational therapists that I taught when I was teaching at Texas Women's University, and other folks that I've worked with and many caregivers that I've worked with and taught now through Higher Standards Caregiver Training. And so let's just be honest that being a caregiver is emotionally demanding, it's mentally demanding, and of course it can be physically demanding. But it can be helpful to reframe the way that we think about what we're doing there as a caregiver and think about it as really truly a privilege to be there and to serve someone versus something that we just have to do. Again, just being honest about it, if I, as an occupational therapist, am called into the room, or y'all, any caregivers who might be watching right now, if you're called into the room to care for someone, it's not because things are going well normally. right? Something has happened that is now requiring us to be there. And the person that we are called to care for is probably in a vulnerable state. And yet we are so privileged to be allowed into that moment in that person's life and to be allowed and trusted to go in and help them and care for them. And that really is a very humbling thought. It's a very humbling privilege to have. And so if we can reframe that experience for ourselves under that idea that really, truly to serve others is a privilege, it's much easier to find gratitude in that moment, for the tasks that we are about to do, and even gratitude for the person that we are assisting, who is allowing us in that moment to help them. Sometimes if you're having a really hard day, it can be hard to do that. Again, just being totally honest and upfront about things. But if you can find even something small to have gratitude for, it can really help to refill your own store of compassion, your own store of empathy, so that you can go out and do the job that you need to do in the best way that you can possibly do it for whomever you're serving. And of course, in the best way for yourself, because as caregivers, you don't just need to have compassion and empathy for the people that you're caring for. You also have to have compassion and empathy for yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup, right? Okay, so moving on, let's go ahead. That's tip number 1 for caregivers today. Let's move on to tip number 2. This is for caregiving organizations. And I wanted to start by reading you a quote. And I gotta look away here because I don't want to mess it up. This is from Jeff Hayden. He's an editor at Inc.com, and he wrote this, and it really, really struck a nerve with me. A key factor in intrinsic motivation is the belief in one's competence. Okay, so think about that for a second. We talk a lot on 10-Minute Tip Tuesday about what it means to invest in our caregivers, and why we should do that, and how beneficial it is not just to our caregivers, but also to our clients, our communities, and certainly to our organizations and businesses to do that. We want to invest in our caregivers so that they can provide truly great, high quality care, no matter what situation they're faced with. We also want to invest in the education, the training, and the knowledge of our caregivers so that they're feeling competent. Because if we want our caregivers to be reliable, if we want our caregivers to be folks who are showing up in the best possible way for every possible shift, then they don't just need skills. They need to feel competent and confident in themselves. And that comes from having a support system and a investment from their organization that allows them to constantly be learning, building their competence, building their knowledge, treating them as the true professionals that they are. So I thought that was a great quote to start the new year with. Obviously, this can be a lot harder to do. As with most things, it's easy to say and hard to do. If you need help, if you have questions, concerns about how to build this kind of support system, investing in the training and knowledge for your caregivers, then please don't hesitate to reach out. You can message me in a comment, DM me here on LinkedIn, reach out any way that you can, and I'd be happy to assist in any way that I possibly can. We're almost wrapped up, but I have one more thing. This is a new thing that we're going to be doing for 10-Minute Tip Tuesday. It's just a little fun addition that I'm putting on the end of every 10-Minute Tip Tuesday. I'm going to be giving a song of the week. I've talked about it before, so if you're familiar with the program, you know that for me, like, music is so motivating. It's everything on a bad day. So I'm going to share every week one of like my favorite songs or song of the moment that is just like really doing it for me. And check it out. Hopefully you like it. Okay, so the song that I wanted to share with you this week before I go is called Just Like You. It's by NF, literally the letters N as in Nancy, F as in Frank. Check it out. It's like mind blowing. If it doesn't get you motivated to take on the world, then I don't know what will. All right. That's it for me. I think I went maybe a minute over my 10 minutes, so I'll sign off now. But I hope that you all have had a wonderful, happy, and healthy new year so far. I wish you all the best. And I will see you next week on 10-Minute Tip Tuesday, live here on LinkedIn at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Until then, take care, y'all. Bye.